Great, there's another humiliation.
Well
The director.
I got one more, too.
What's the director's name?
Baz Luhrmann?
Baz Luhrmann. I don't know Baz Luhrmann, at least I didn't know Baz Luhrmann. Baz Luhrmann has become very, very famous. He started in Australia directing ballroom dancing. He directed Australia. He's a wonderful director. He's very, very funny, very, very talented man. And I'm sorry that I've never worked for him, but during his rise to fame, I was, don't know about being famous, but I was working over in this country while he was there. So my Australian agent, who likes to get me back from time to time, kept on saying to him, Tate's available, and I didn't get into anything he was doing. When he was doing Australian, I was back in Australia after they'd already started. So I didn't get in, but my next door neighbor was a producer on the show, and he kept on saying, I'm gonna tell Baz about you, because I just think you're, we talked all the time. He wanted me in the show. He told me that he was gonna get me or talk to them about being the doctor in Australia. I don't know if you ever saw it. But anyway, I never got to meet him. So I came back to the States, and I'm working in the States, and I get a call. They're about to do The Great Gatsby in Australia. And they need, if you remember the story of Gatsby, they needed his benefactor, who was the New York Jew with the strange connections. Where did he get all his money from? But he was the money source for Gatsby, if some of you have not worked that out yet or not. Gatsby apparently had endless wealth and nobody knew where it came from. It came from his benefactor, and they actually ran Sly Grog. That's what it was all about, because it was prohibition. And they were making all this grog, and that's where all the money was coming from. So it was a great role, but there are not too many powerful New York Jewish actors living and working in Australia. And I'm not a New York Jew, obviously, but I did, I think, a pretty fair impression and sent it back on video to Australia. They were ecstatic. Nick, come back, we want to have you for this role. I'm thinking, Grant, I've got this fabulous part, I'm going back to Australia to play it. So I said, well, send me the ticket. And they went, no, you'd be an Australian hire, you have to be here. That's how they do the Australian films. They hire Australians as Australian hires, and if you're overseas, well, then they might as well bring an American actor or an English actor or whatever, or an Indian actor. So I said to them, no, you want me to come back, you got to pay for me to come back, because right now I'm not ready to come back. And the casting director said to my agent, look, Baz loves Nick, seen the thing, wants to use him, but he's got to come back and sit in front of him and talk to him about the role before he will give it to him. And I said, no, if he wants me, send the contract, send the ticket. They didn't. They would have, but Baz went to a party in Australia and he met this guy who's a fabulous actor. Wasn't New York Jew. He was a Bollywood Indian actor who was in Australia shooting some Australian sequences for a Bollywood film. Now, if you've seen the Gatsby film with, what's his name? Leonardo DiCaprio. Sorry, Leonardo, but I've never met you. Not true, actually. I was in Vegas once and he was pulling a poker machine out. That's Leonardo DiCaprio. It was 15 years ago. He wasn't very well known then. But anyway, I didn't get the part, and Baz Luhrmann's at this party and he sees this guy there, and he's a wonderful actor, this man. And he says, you'd be great in my film, can you stay? And he did. And he is great in the film. If you've seen the film, they just changed the character. Didn't say where he came from, but he's a big, powerful actor, and he played the part. About 4 months later, the film's winding up. They finished shooting it. They've got about 2 scenes to go, and I've flown back to Australia, because I go back in November always, 6 weeks, and told my agent I was back in town, and the next thing I know is, Baz Luhrmann wants to see you. And I went, what for? He wants to say sorry, and would you go down and meet him on the set and say hi? So, okay, maybe next time around there's going to be something, so I'll go meet him. So I go to the set, and it's their last day. They're shooting their last day. And it's the scene where Tobey Maguire is in New York with the girl and they need to flag down a cab in the middle of New York, busy New York, and take it out to the island that they were on, and the taxi driver takes them all the way. So it would be a couple of days shoot, and I meet Baz, and in the middle of shooting, I'm standing there for ages. Finally comes out and says, "So sorry." He said, "I'm really sorry, what happened? Look, I've got an idea. It's not much, but I just love to have you in the film. It'd be a little bit of a gag." He said, and there were taxis and everything there. He said, "Could you come back tomorrow?" He said, "I'd love you to play the taxi." I said, "Play the taxi driver?" He said, "Yeah." He said, "A couple of moments," and he said, "And then later on, you know, you talk with the kids in the back of the car when you get out there." He said, "I'd love you to do it." And I said, "Baz, I don't do one-day things." He said, "Well, shame, Nick, because I really like you." And then he quoted me several other instances of famous actors, you know, appearing with one-liners in movies for a joke. And I'm thinking, yeah, that's okay because they're famous, you know. I'm not. I know reality. I'm not famous, not for that kind of work. So, but I'm thinking, I might get another job with Baz. So I said, "Really, you want to kind of notice me much?" He said, "Doesn't matter. I just want you in the film." So if you've seen the film, the kids get in the taxi, and the taxi driver turns around, and it's 75mm screen, right? Full close-up on my face. "Where do you want to go, kids?" That's my one line. And then I turned back, and he decided to drop the scene when they arrive at the other end. I mean, the taxi pulls up. You see it in the distance. I didn't get to shoot the second day. And I go to see the movie, and I'm thinking, oh God, I hope they don't recognize me. And suddenly, as I said, there's this huge head. And people are going, "That's Nick Tate!" I'm not the best.